how do you account for this bizarre, strange bedfellows phenomenon of radical Muslims occupying the same bed as cultural liberals and leftists?
In the first place, they have the same enemy. And so it's the same thing that Chairman Mao said many years ago in another context: the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They both want to take down Western civilization as it has been traditionally constituted. They want to destroy Judeo-Christian civilization. They want to establish an international authoritarian socialist state. Now, both the left and the jihadis want to establish an international state. That's the whole idea of the caliphate, that it is a mega state that transcends nationality and has no borders, because ultimately it encompasses the whole world. And it is authoritarian, as all Islamic states always have been, after the model of Muhammad, the prophet, leading his community, and he himself preached that you should obey your ruler, even if he is an Ethiopian with a head like a raisin, which is often quoted to say, look, Muhammad was a racist, and that's a reasonable point. But I think what's more important about that is the authoritarianism of it. The blind obedience that is inculcated, that's music to the left's ears. Because as the late, great David Horowitz said, inside every progressive is a totalitarian screaming to get out. And they're getting out now. We're seeing that the left is increasingly open about their total contempt for real democracy, while they're always whining about the threats, alleged threats to our democracy. Really, they have a tremendous problem with dissent. They want to squash dissent and silence dissidents, as we saw with the Biden administration moving against people who spoke out about the COVID business, and many, many other examples. And so they see the authoritarianism inculcated in Islam, and leftists say these people are our blood brothers. They're internationalists. They are authoritarians. We can work with them, and they're doing it.
Granted that they have a common enemy, and also granted that both groups have an authoritarian streak, and they don't mind putting their foot on your neck. If we follow out their ideologies and we kind of give them the world and say, it's yours, it's quite clear that they would want two different kinds of world. So the cultural leftists would want a world, for example, of culturally, sexually, anything goes. The Muslims, by contrast, will want a world that is morally and sexually highly regulated. The abaya, the veil, the parda. The left will want the abolition of the family. Muslims want very strong patriarchal families, sometimes built on the model of 4 wives, but in any case, they want that structure to be preserved, if not strengthened. The liberals are very big on criminals, right? They're very upset right now about Washington, D.C. You're going to bring our crime rates down. This is outrageous. We like our crime rates the way they are. Muslims, on the other hand, are quite ready to chop your arms off or your toes off for stealing a horse. And so I can spell it out further, but even on the socialist agenda, Islam has kind of its own, economy. What I'm getting at is, are we heading to a world where, God forbid, if that side wins, are they then going to come to blows themselves to fight it out about whether we get a secular globalist left or a caliphate? I mean, to me, it's 2 nightmare scenarios. But it could be that, but I don't see how you can have both nightmares come true at the same time.
Oh, I don't have any doubt about it. I think the odds that they will come to blows if they manage to defeat us are about 100%. They, as you said, they have very deep divisions, and those are already showing. We have seen Muslims in Michigan and elsewhere protesting against the left's cultural agenda, protesting at school board meetings. There was a school board meeting in Dearborn last year, turned quite violent because Muslims were enraged about the left's putting all these pornographic books into the school libraries and all that business. and they were not willing to have a polite, calm discussion about it. And the police had to be called, and it was a very ugly scene. And that was not an isolated incident. This is a very big crack in the leftist Islamic alliance. Since then, actually, that was not last year, it was a couple of years ago because it was before October 7th. The October 7th massacre in Israel has allowed the left and the jihadis to ignore their differences for now, but they're not going to be able to ignore them forever. And ultimately, there will be conflict. There always has been in history. This alliance is something we've seen before, most recently in 1979, when the communists in Iran allied with the Ayatollah Khomeini, and they figured that they were going to get a place in the government. It was going to be a coalition. And instead, Khomeini threw them in jail and ultimately had them killed.
In a time when Hollywood continues to peddle moral confusion, cultural decay, Angel Studios is doing something truly remarkable, creating films that inspire and reflect our values. Their latest release, Sketch, is a prime example. Imagine Stranger Things meets Inside Out, but with virtue, imagination, and heart at the center. The story follows a young girl whose sketchbook falls into a mysterious pond, only to have her wild, colorful drawings spring to life. It's suspenseful, it's funny, it's deeply moving, it's entertainment with a moral compass. If you're a premium Angel Guild member, you already have 2 free tickets waiting for Sketch. It's in theaters now. And if not, now's the time to join. Take a stand for media that strengthens families instead of tearing them down. You'll also unlock Angel's entire streaming library, content that aligns with faith, freedom, and truth. Visit angel.com/Dinesh today. Become a part of the Angel Guild to receive 2 free tickets to Sketch in theaters now. Angel.com/Dinesh.